When you become dangerous without anger, the world starts to fear your calm. Because your silence is no longer weakness, it's focus. Your restraint is no longer confusion, it's control. You used to react, you used to chase, you used to explain. Now you observe, you listen. You let people expose themselves while you remain still. There's a version of you that was loud, emotional, desperate to be understood. That version is gone. You've entered the stage where peace has replaced rage and clarity has replaced chaos. You no longer want revenge, because you've already won by not needing it. You've become a storm disguised as still water. People can sense it, even when you say nothing. That's what true danger is. The dangerous man isn't the one who shouts. It's the one who smiles when insulted, who stays calm when betrayed, who walks away when others want to fight. You've learned that emotion is energy, and wasting that energy on proving your worth only weakens your focus. Now you use that same energy to build, to sharpen, to rise. You see, anger is easy. Anyone can explode. But to master yourself, to feel the fire and still keep your hands steady, that's real power. You've become unpredictable. They don't know what version of you they're facing anymore. They can't read your tone. They can't manipulate your reaction because you've outgrown their emotional games. They wanted a reaction, but you gave them silence. They wanted guilt, but you gave them distance. They wanted drama, but you gave them peace. Now your presence alone speaks louder than any argument ever could. That's when people realize you're no longer the person they can play with. Your detachment scares them more than your anger ever could, because anger says you still care, but silence says it's over. There was a time you thought being dangerous meant being feared, but now you understand. True danger is discipline. True danger is mastering yourself in a world that profits off your reaction. It's walking through chaos without letting it enter you. It's being insulted and still smiling, because you know your value doesn't shrink when they fail to see it. You've become the calm in your own storm. People who once thought they could control you now whisper your name differently. Not because you've become louder, but because you've become unreadable. You've stopped explaining your silence. You've stopped justifying your peace. You've stopped fighting for spaces that were never meant for your growth. When you become dangerous without anger, you stop trying to prove that you're right. You just live like it. Your success becomes your statement. Your discipline becomes your revenge. Your peace becomes your power. And those who once disrespected you will one day tell stories about how calm you were when everything fell apart. They'll remember how you didn't fight back, because you were too focused on building forward. They'll regret underestimating your silence, because that silence was never weakness. It was preparation. Every morning, you wake up with that quiet energy that says, I don't need to prove myself anymore. That's when your mind becomes unstoppable. That's when distractions lose their hold. That's when peace becomes your armor and patience becomes your weapon. You don't force outcomes anymore. You attract them. You don't argue with fools. You outgrow them. You don't chase what's running. You let it go, because what's meant for you never runs away. You're not trying to be better than anyone. You're just becoming more like who you were always meant to be. You've learned to be okay with being misunderstood. You've learned that people's opinions are reflections of their limits, not your worth. And you've learned that silence, when mastered, speaks volumes. This is what true power looks like. Calm, collected, consistent. You've turned your emotions into a discipline. You've turned pain into wisdom. And you've turned loss into clarity. When you become dangerous without anger, you realize that the game was never about fighting others. It was about mastering yourself. The real victory is peace. The real dominance is self-control. The real revenge is indifference. So stay calm when they provoke you. Stay quiet when they doubt you. Stay focused when they distract you. Because your calm is your crown, and your peace is your power. You've outgrown the battlefield of reaction. Now you live in the kingdom of composure, and the world can feel it, even when you say nothing. When you finally master the art of calm, people start to fear your silence more than your words. Because your silence is not emptiness. It's calculation. It's the pause between destruction and discipline. You've reached that point where anger no longer drives you. Peace does. And that peace, it's dangerous. You used to let people trigger you. You used to explain yourself to those who never listened. You used to give energy to people who only wanted reactions. But now, you've stopped dancing for their validation. Now, when they talk, you listen, not to respond, but to understand how small they still think. They mistake your calm for weakness. They call it arrogance. They call it distance. But what they don't see is the war you fought to earn that peace. The war inside your own mind. The sleepless nights where you taught yourself to stop explaining, stop reacting, stop caring. When you become dangerous without anger, it's not that you've lost emotion. It's that you've learned how to use it. You can feel the fire burning, but you don't let it consume you. You've learned to channel it into action, into growth, into silence. Now, you don't fight battles that don't build you. You don't argue with those who've already lost in spirit. People don't understand how hard it is to become calm. They think silence is easy. It's not. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do, to feel everything and still act like nothing can shake you. That's mastery. That's when your face stays neutral while your mind is on fire, but your actions remain sharp, measured, and intentional. You see, there comes a point when you stop chasing closure. You stop demanding apologies. You stop wanting to be understood, because you realize they were never meant to understand someone like you. Your evolution threatened their comfort. Your stillness exposed their chaos. When you become calm, you stop fighting to be seen and start building in silence. You stop reacting and start observing. You stop talking and start executing. That's when your life starts changing faster than you can explain it. Because silence makes space for creation. And when you move in silence, your success becomes unpredictable. They can't figure you out anymore. You're not angry. You're not emotional. You're not visible. You're just quietly consistent. And consistency, that's the most dangerous weapon a man can have. You've learned that peace is not a mood. It's a strategy. It's not about avoiding conflict. It's about being too focused to waste energy. You know exactly what you want, and anything that doesn't align, you let it go. You no longer fear loss, because you've realized nothing real can ever be taken from you. That realization, that's the moment you become untouchable. You stop chasing people. You stop chasing validation. You stop chasing outcomes. You just move with purpose, and the world starts moving around you. Opportunities appear where noise once existed, because the universe rewards those who master themselves. Let others talk. Let them misinterpret your silence. They'll say you've changed. And they're right. You've changed from someone who reacted to everything to someone who doesn't even flinch anymore. That's real evolution. And in that stillness, you'll find a power you never imagined. You'll realize that calm isn't the absence of emotion, it's the control of it. You can feel betrayal, pain, disrespect, and still keep walking forward, because you no longer let temporary feelings destroy permanent goals. When people can no longer control your emotions, they'll try to control the narrative. Let them talk. Your silence will always speak louder than their noise. They'll try to provoke you, to pull you back into the person you used to be. But you're not playing their game anymore. You're not the same version they left behind. You've become too disciplined, too focused, too peaceful. And that peace makes them uncomfortable. That's what they never expected. They expected you to fight back, to prove them wrong. But you don't need to prove anything. Your calm is proof enough. Your results will speak. Your silence will echo. Your peace will expose everything they tried to hide. And that's when they'll realize. You were never weak. You were patient. You were building while they were gossiping. You were healing while they were hating. You were transforming while they were talking. And now that you've mastered yourself, nothing they say can touch you. You've turned your emotions into an army and your silence into a fortress. No one can enter unless you allow it. No one can disturb your peace unless you hand them the key. And you don't give keys anymore. You've learned that not every reaction deserves your energy. Not every argument deserves your words. Not every insult deserves a response. Because when you master peace, you master the battlefield, and the man who can stay calm while everything burns around him, that's the man who wins. So next time they test your patience, remember, you don't have to prove your power through volume. You prove it through silence, through control, through consistency. Because the most dangerous man is not the one who shouts, it's the one who could destroy, but chooses not to. You are that man now, calm, focused, dangerous. You've learned to smile through chaos, to walk away from noise, and to let karma handle what pride once wanted to fix. You've become a mystery, not because you're hiding, but because you've finally stopped performing. You don't chase attention anymore. It finds you. You don't beg for respect. Your energy demands it. You don't need validation. Your silence validates everything. You've turned your pain into precision, your past into purpose, your peace into power. And now, you've become what they always feared. Someone they can't control, can't predict, and can't break. You've become dangerous, without anger, without noise, without ego, just pure, calm, unstoppable energy. When you reach that level of calm, everything around you begins to expose itself. You don't have to react anymore. The truth starts revealing itself without your effort. You start to see people differently, not with hate, but with clarity. You begin to understand why they did what they did, and instead of revenge, you feel nothing. That's when you know you've healed, not when you forget, but when it no longer controls you. The most dangerous version of you isn't angry. It's detached. It's the version that doesn't need closure. It's the version that smiles when everything's falling apart, because you've realized that chaos can't touch you anymore. Your peace has become your shield, and your silence, your weapon. You no longer chase. You no longer beg. You no longer argue. Because you've learned that energy is currency, and you refuse to spend yours on things that don't grow you. You've stopped explaining your standards, because those who truly understand you will never need an explanation. And those who don't, will never deserve one. When you become dangerous without anger, you learn that control isn't about holding everything together. It's about knowing what to let go of. You stop trying to fix broken people. You stop trying to change what was never yours to change. And you stop expecting loyalty from people who only came for convenience. You become an observer. You watch people's actions instead of their words. You listen more, you talk less, and somehow, you start hearing things you never noticed before. The truth is loud when you're quiet. You start realizing that most people are addicted to reaction. They feed off chaos because it gives them importance. But you're done feeding that noise. You're done explaining peace to people who profit from drama. You've outgrown the circus, and that's why they don't know how to deal with you anymore. Your silence makes them nervous. Your calmness makes them question their power. Your peace threatens their control. Because when you don't react, they lose their influence. They can't guilt-trip you anymore. They can't manipulate your kindness anymore. They can't provoke the old version of you that used to defend itself to be understood. Now you just smile, walk away, and let time reveal everything. You've learned that patience is not weakness. It's power disguised. Because patience allows truth to surface, and in silence, the loudest lessons appear. You don't fight anymore, you align. You don't chase outcomes, you prepare for them. You don't prove your worth, you embody it. You've mastered the art of not responding. And that's why you've become unpredictable. People can't trigger what you've already healed. They can't break what's already been rebuilt in silence. And they can't understand how you still move with peace after everything that tried to destroy you. That's why the calm ones are feared. Because you can't control someone who doesn't need your approval. You can't destroy someone who's already accepted loss. You can't manipulate someone who's mastered detachment. That's what makes you dangerous. Your silence is strategy. Your peace is a message. Your discipline is your legacy. And the world will test it, over and over again. It'll send people to trigger you. It'll create moments to provoke you. It'll throw temptations to distract you. But every time you remain calm, you win. Because the one who stays calm always controls the direction of the storm. You're no longer chasing victory. You've become victory. You've become what peace looks like after pain. You've become what control feels like after chaos. You've become what strength sounds like when it doesn't need to shout. They'll try to come back. Not because they've changed, but because your peace disturbs their noise. They'll say they miss you, but what they really miss is the access to your energy. They miss how easily they could control you, how quickly you reacted, how deeply you cared. But that version of you no longer exists. Now, you love from a distance. You forgive, but you don't return. You wish well, but you don't reopen doors. Because your peace cost you too much to lose again. You've realized that not everyone deserves to see your calm. Not everyone deserves access to your silence. And not everyone deserves to stand next to you once you've mastered peace. The truth is, not everyone grows with you. Some people are only lessons, not companions. Some moments are meant to break you, not to stay with you. And some endings are the most powerful beginnings. Now you walk alone, but never lonely. Because solitude doesn't scare you anymore. You've learned that your own company is enough. That your own presence is your protection. And that solitude is not emptiness. It's elevation. When you walk alone with peace, your steps get heavier, your eyes sharper, your soul quieter. You no longer look back, because nothing there deserves your energy anymore. And that's when destiny starts moving with you, not against you. Because calmness attracts clarity, and clarity attracts purpose, and purpose attracts power. You are no longer in the same league as those who tried to break you. You've transcended that. You've evolved into someone who no longer needs to win arguments, because you win in silence. You don't need to prove your value, because your existence already proves it. And you don't need to fight for attention, because energy like yours commands it naturally. So let them talk. Let them underestimate. Let them assume. Your silence is writing a story they'll never understand until it's too late. The calm ones always win in the end, because the world can't shake what's already steady. And the man who controls himself controls everything. When you become dangerous without anger, you stop chasing peace, because you become peace.